Flosstube friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Chris. Today is Thursday, June 29th, 2023, and I am here with my June wrap-up regarding my stitching. If you're new here, welcome. I do know I've had a big jump in subscribers, partially in thanks to my friends Pam and Steph over at Just Keep Stitching, who shouted me out as their golden friend a few weeks ago. Thank you so much for that, Pam and Steph. I really appreciate it. And thank you for all of you who have found me through them, or maybe just stumbled across my last video with my big finish as the thumbnail. I appreciate each and every one of you, and I'm so glad you've come to hang out with me and give me an opportunity to share my stitching with you today. So let's get started. We've got a few things that we're going to cover today. We're going to look at some of the whips I've been working on. I've got some happy mail that I want to share with you, a few things I've been sewing in my sewing room, some plans obviously, and then of course my fun finds on Instagram. So we're going to get started with whips, and if you're new here, I have 4 focus whips a month. I've decided to pick one kind of from each category, a small, a medium large, and a large, just to keep things interesting and mix it up a little bit. And then on Sundays, I usually do what I'm calling a Sunday spin or a Sunday stitch, where I would spin my whip wheel and just work on something random. But for the month of June, I decided I wanted to focus on a project that I had started last month called Cute Kitten. It was kind of a new process for me. I was stitching 1/1 on 25 count fabric. So I wanted to get a few days stitching in on that, just to get a feel for it before I put it back in the whip pile for a while, and then it might be a few months before I pull it out. And I wanted to kind of have a good foundation of stitching on that, so I kind of knew what I was doing and where I was going, kind of thing. So let's get started with my small focus project. So my small project actually happens to be a series. It's the A Year in Chalk by Hands On Design, and I'm considering it as one whip, the whole series, because I want to finish the whole series and get it fully finished so I can display it. So yeah, I think last month I was up to the month of May, so I'll put in a picture here of how much I had completed on May by my last video. This is what it will look like when it's finished. And I did get it done. So there it is, Plant Seeds of Joy. I'm doing these all on the called for Weeks Dye Works gunmetal, but I'm doing it in a 32 count. The called for is 30. I was having troubles getting the 30 count. And I think since I'm not finishing it, like I don't have this finishing board, which I think you could get at the time when Kathy first released this series. So the size really doesn't matter, because I'm just going to finish them myself. And I think I'm going to try and find like a little clipboard, or I don't know, I'll find something that they'll fit on. So that was May. So then I went on and completed June. So this is June, Catch a Wave. And I like this one, but I wasn't thrilled with the accent color. Oh yeah, and about colors I was just going to mention. So the called for white is chalk, which I did start out with that, but you go through a lot of it, and I didn't find it made a huge difference, because there's not really any variegation in it or nothing noticeable. So I just switched to a B5200 for the white. And then I'm using some of the called fors for the accent color if I had them. If I didn't, I was just pulling something from my stash that I thought matched or looked good. So this one, I wasn't loving that sort of orangey brown color. I don't know if it was supposed to kind of resemble sand, but I really wanted to change it to a blue. So that's what I did. Catch a Wave. And that's a color on cotton. Carolina Blue, I believe is what it's called. It's got some nice variegation in it. So that was June. And so then I finished that one, still within that first week of the month. So then I moved on to July. red, white, and barbecue. So I thought this worked for Canada as well as the US. For you, the Americans, you American people out there, I guess it's a play on red, white, and blue. But our flag is red and white, so, and we all like to barbecue in the summer. And I actually finished that one too. I love that red. That's Weeks Dye Works Louisiana hot sauce. It is so bright and fun. So yeah, so that was pretty good. I felt really good. I actually completed 3 of them, 2.5 technically. So I only have 2 left. I only have August and September, and then I'm full circle because they started in October last fall. So that'll be good to get those finished. So I think 1 more month of working on those, and I should have that series done. So that was my small focus project. So my medium focus project was Stallion, which is a pattern I bought off of Etsy through a designer, Anna Duplant. Heritage. I think I'll put a picture of what it will look like when it's done, and I think on the bottom of that it sort of lists the name of her Etsy shop, but I'll have it listed in the drop down box down below if you're curious to see, if you want to see what else she has. And this I'm doing on an 18 count oatmeal Aida with all of the called for DMC. So here's where it was the last time you would have seen it. And this is the project that I'm color completing. So I do all of one color, take a photo, and then I move on to the next color. So I think I've done 3 or 4 colors since then. So here's what it looks like now. Oh yes, and I was going to try to do this so that I can do the comparison. So yeah, I'm really, really close. I think there still is about 7 colors. So there's more stitches to fill in there than you might think, but it's really coming together. And every color you add, it just really adds to the depth and dimension. So I'm looking forward to having that one finished soon as well. I'm feeling all these finishes coming really close, and that's what I'm loving about this rotation that I'm doing is I do feel like I'm getting more finishes or closer to more finishes for sure because I'm focusing on projects. So I have started a little video slideshow of each of those as I complete each color and the photos. So I will stick it in at the end of this video if you want to see up to this point where I'm at. That'll probably be the last time I put it in a video until I completely finish the project. So that was my medium whip. So then my medium large, last month, I had completed my medium large, which was a Christmas Village, which I'm going to put a photo of the finish in here because I did just want to mention Deborah M had asked me a question in the last video about what the dimensions of the borders were that I had used. So yeah, so if you look in that photo, the color closest to the stitching was a dark brown, and that was a 1/2 inch border. Now, of course, I had to have seam allowances, so I allowed a 1/4 inch seam allowance. So technically, I would have cut that strip at 1 inch, but it finishes at 1/2 inch. And then the barn red that is next to that finishes at 1.25 inches. So I would have cut that at 1 3/4 inches. And then the creamy white next to that is just a 1/4 inch wide. So that was like a 3/4 inch strip cut and sewn. And then the outside edging, which is actually a self-binding, it's the backing fabric rolled and folded over and top stitched. That's approximately a 1/2 inch around that. So if you have any other questions about that, feel free to ask me. But I did message or I commented on Deborah's comment, so hopefully she got those dimensions. But yeah, so that was my medium large, which I finished. So I got to slot in a new project in that category. So my next oldest medium large project was my Dimensions stocking, Gifts for All. This is a stocking that I'm making for myself. So this is being stitched on all of the kit fabric, which is an Aida. It's actually a beautiful Aida. I don't know if it says if it's a Zweigart. No, it just says white Aida. But whatever the Aida is, it's probably some of the nicest Aida I've ever worked with. It's not stiff at all. It's really soft, but it's also heavy. Like, it's not flimsy. It just feels really sturdy, and I think it should hold up well over time, I'm hoping. So yeah, kit fabric, kit flosses. Here is a photo of where it was the last time you would have seen it. And here is where I am at now. So that is all of the stitching, the cross stitching and half stitching. That is complete. Yay! It did take me longer than I thought. Like, I just had the coat that you can see in the before picture. I just had that little bit on his coat, but that little bit is actually a lot more than I thought, of course. I was thinking I could probably finish it in a couple of days, but nah, it took me all week to... I stayed up until like 1 o'clock in the morning last night because I wanted to finish it before the video today. So there it is. So next step is starting all of the back stitching. And although I didn't realize how many French knots there are in it as well, but that's what's going to bring it to life. So that will be exciting. So stay tuned for that, for sure. So that was exciting to get that step completed on that. And then my next one is my large focus project, which is my oldest whip behind the bit, which is by White Willow Stitching. It's on an 18 count oatmeal Aida with all of the called for DMC. I will put a picture of where it was the last time you would have seen it. Now, I didn't get a tremendous amount done in this, but I did complete a column, which I shouldn't beat myself up because that's quite a few stitches, because that's over 2 pages. I think I forgot. Did I put where it was before? I completely forget, sorry. Anyway, this is where he's at now. I'll move him over here so I can put the other one in the bottom corner like I did last time. So yeah, I just completed that one more column down over his shoulder where you can see sort of the gray highlights of his shoulder. So he's getting there. But yeah, I kind of wish I'd been able to spend a little bit more time on him, but we'll talk about that a bit more in plans. So those were my 4 focus projects that each one gets like a week's worth of work over the course of the month. So then I did mention that my Sunday spins or my Sunday stitch, I did not change it up. I just stuck with my cute kitten, excuse me, which I'll put a photo of what he's gonna look like when he's done here. He's adorable. And here's a picture of how much I had done last time when you would have seen him. And here is where he is now. So you can tell sort of from the before picture that I was kind of working in the columns, those 10 stitch columns, and parking my threads. But that I was struggling with that a little bit because this piece is pretty confetti heavy. That's what gives it, I think, the definition and the detail that it has. But it was getting to be a lot of threads, even for me who likes parking. So I decided to try stitching diagonally and completing a color within a diagonal. And that way, or at least completing the thread within a diagonal, because that way, at least I wouldn't have to park all of those threads. So that does seem to be working better. And actually, when I switched to doing that, it really became fun. Before that, again, I was still just sort of finding my way and trying again to figure out how to stitch on 1/1 on 25 count. Because even like, I'm so used to doing loop starts and that, so I was trying to figure out how I wanted to do that. And even ending threads, it's a lot more challenging to try and thread your end underneath the stitches on the back when they're so tiny and only consist of one thread. So I'm sort of sorting all that out. But I know, like, the one Sunday I was even like, do I even want to stitch on them? Maybe I'll just stitch on something else. But I thought, no, I'm going to try and put a little bit more work into it. And as I say, when I sort of decided or had that aha moment that, oh, I'll just stitch in the diagonal and finish a thread, that I won't have to park the threads, it started to become really fun. And so then I did end up deciding to work in all of the park threads that I had. So that's why I've got a lot of sort of like random stitches everywhere, because I was working all those threads in. But now that I've got them all worked in, I can really start to focus on the diagonals. So the next time you see him, whenever that will be, I'm not sure, because he is going to go back into my whip pile now. Hopefully you'll see some solid diagonals being filled in. So that was Cute Kitten. And this was stitched on a 25 count ivory Lugana with the call for DMC. And the designer of the pattern is the Country Creative Stitches on Etsy. And I will put a link to their Etsy shop down below in the drop down box. And yeah, I was quite pleasantly surprised because I received an email from them thanking me for leaving a review, because I left a review on their Etsy shop. And it was just a standard review, nothing out of the ordinary. But she contacted me via email and said she wanted to thank me for leaving a review and offered me a free pattern. So I picked another one. So this is the one that I picked. There was another horse one that I've had favorited on Etsy for a while, but it's very similar to the kitten. It's kind of like a watercolor, and well, here, I'll put a picture of it here. So it's a watercolor, you know, it's kind of soft and very pretty, but it's also huge. Probably twice as big as Cute Kitten. So I decided to pick, you know, this other one because it was a completely different style and a different color palette. And I find it very artsy, and I just thought it looked like it would be really cool to stitch and a fun piece of art to have hanging in my home. So that'll be a future start at some point. Maybe sooner than later, who knows? And then, so the last thing that I worked on in the month of June was my Small Hearts Yearly Temperature Cell by Apricot Polka Dot. They have an Etsy shop, which I'll link down below. And I'm doing this on a 32 count antique white linen with the called for DMC. Here's where it was the last time you saw it. And here it is now. So you can see it's warmed up quite a bit. So I will just mention too, I have decided to stitch this rather than the way you read or the way a typewriter works, you know, from right to left and right to left. I've been doing a serpentine. So I started in the left top, went all the way to the right, and then the next row I went from the right back across to the left. I thought that way, so you can sort of see, this was sort of like last weekend, right? Leading into the weekend. So all of those hot temperatures are all together, like it sort of came around here and then down here. Otherwise it would have stopped here and gone over to the other side. And, oops, sorry, wrong way. I just thought it flowed a little bit better doing it that way. And I believe the designer does talk about that in the instructions, about the different ways you could do it. Heck, I guess you could even do it in a spiral if you really wanted to, because it's a 19 by 19 heart. Like there's 19 hearts across, 19 hearts down. So you could even do a circling spiral if you wanted to have fun with it, kind of thing. And yeah, if you're a math person and you did that math, 19 times 19 does not equal 365. It equals 361. So the other 4 days, you put those colors into the date that you put at the bottom. So, you know, 2023 will be the other 4 colors type of thing. The other thing I did this month, and I don't know, you can kind of see it a little bit, but I had decided that I was going to do I want to do something for birthdays. And I've seen people do this with temperature cells before, and sometimes they'll do special events in, you know, a gold or a silver. I still wanted to have the color, so the temperature for that day was registered, but I've just added a little bit of blending filament in. So my daughter had a birthday just last week. So this is it here. So you can sort of see that little bit of blending filament in there. So it just adds a tiny little bit of reflection and sparkle. And I'm going to do that just for the 4 of us and my immediate family for our birthdays, just for fun. So yeah, there it is. Getting warmer. So those are all of the whips that I worked on this month. So I think I'm going to jump to Happy Mail now. I said I was going to try and stay off the Canadian buy and sell groups, but I haven't done very well in that respect. But that's okay, because I found some fun things. So let me share with you what I've got here. Interestingly enough, all the things I have to share are kits. I do have a couple of charts that are on their way here, so you'll see those next month. But so one of the first ones I got is this really fun Janlin kit, Forever Wild. I got it because number 1, I'd never seen it before. Number 2, the seller was offering it at a really good price. I think I paid $5. Number 3, I like the artwork. Number 4, my sister has a Palomino, like this horse. So I'm thinking I might stitch this and give it to her as a gift. Although I really like it myself, so I might have to stitch it twice. We'll see. So yeah, so that was one. Another kit that I got off of there was this Dimensions one, which I have seen this kit around before. Seaside Cottages. But I really like it. I like the colors. I like the vibe. I grew up in my family. Every summer we would rent a cottage at Sauble Beach, which is about 20 minutes from where I live. I actually live like 15 minutes from where I grew up. And I have really fond memories of growing up, spending, you know, a week every summer out at Sauble at a cottage that we had rented. And there's different ones over the years. I do remember there was one that was right on the beach, and that was really fun. But I just love how you can see the water peeking out between the buildings. I like how the buildings are all different colors. I just think that's going to be really fun to stitch. The other one I got was this one, which again is a Dimensions kit. And I had never seen this kit before. And I just thought it was really pretty. I like the wreath. I like all the birds. And the funny thing was, when I saw it, so I'm going to do this, I thought, well, I don't know if I want to put our family name on it, but maybe I could do like welcome friends. Maybe I could figure out how to do that. And then when I looked a little closer, I realized it has a version of that in there. So that's what I'm going to do, is the welcome friends. It's kind of Christmassy, but I think you could leave it up all year. I'll see when I stitch it. So that's really pretty. So I was excited about that one too. So then I had some real happy mail. My friend Dina, she is half stitch, cross stitch here on Flosstube. I'll list her, I'll link her channel down below. Hi Dina. She contacted me one day and said that somebody had gave her, or donated to her, a box of somebody's stash that they had wanted to pass on. And they knew that Dina hosted like a monthly stitch day, that type of thing, and thought maybe she'd like to use some of the stuff as giveaways or on her channel. But when she was going through the stuff, she found some horse kits that she thought I might be interested in. So she contacted me and said, oh, can we video chat and I'll show you what they are and you can let me know if you would like any of them. I'm going, yes, please. Sure, I will do that. And so she showed me these 5 charts, and I like them all. And I said, if you're willing to share them all with me, that would make my day. And she said, yeah, I'd be happy to. So she sent me the kits. So here they are. So this is the first one that she showed me, which is just a quick little stitch. I thought that was sweet, that little Arabian with the flowers in front. I like the lighting and shadow on that one. So I'm going, yeah, that one's pretty. I would enjoy that. And then she showed me this one. So this is along the same vein as that other Janlin kit. And I've seen this one quite a bit online. I don't know if it's out of print, but it's you see it a lot for sale on Etsy and eBay and stuff like that. So again, I just thought that was really cool. The only thing I don't like is that the horse's eyes have those white highlights. So I don't know when I stitch it if I can change that. It just makes them look a little devilish to me. But again, really pretty. And then she showed me this Elsa Williams kit, which I'd never seen this one before. Chestnut, so Marineful. And I thought that was very sweet, very pretty. I had the privilege of working on a standardbred breeding farm one summer when I was, I think, between my second and third year of veterinary school. So this just reminds me of those foals that I got to work with. In fact, I think we had one that looked just like this. So that was very sweet. And then she showed me this one, and it was cute. Tina's going, I know it's a unicorn, but you could probably just stitch it and leave the horn off. But I don't mind the horn. I like the mystical quality of it. Which, yeah, unicorn mystique. And my friend Shannon is stitching this one. Hi, Shannon. And she's getting close to a finish, I think, on it. And it's so pretty. Like, those colors in real life are just quite striking. So yeah, so that one will be fun. And then she held up the last one, and I almost died when she showed me this one. Thunder Ridge. So this is a rare out of print Dimensions Gold collection kit that I have been following on eBay and Etsy for a long time because it's so pretty, but yeah, people are asking a lot of money for it. And when Dina showed me this one, I couldn't believe it. I'm not a screamer, but I almost wanted to scream. And I was just so excited and said that she made my year when she showed me this one and offered to send it to me as a gift. And I just can't say thank you enough, Dina. Like, it's my unicorn that I never thought I would have, and now I have an opportunity to stitch it. So that means so much to me. So this is not getting put away. This is staying out, and it's going to get started next month, which we're going to talk about plans in just a little bit. So that was my Happy Mail, which was pretty good. Let's move on to what I've been sewing in my sewing room. For those of you that are new, I do actually have an Etsy shop where I sell project bags and paraphernalia. It's linked down below if you're curious. But I like to sometimes just share what I've been working on just for fun to show you. So last month I had shown you some fabrics that I had just purchased. They were sort of fun, colorful, summery, tropical fabrics that just caught my eye in the shop, and I just thought they'd be fun to play with and to make some bags with. So here's what I came up with. So this is a vinyl front bag, and there's the fabric on the back. All these pretty tropical colors, bright blues and orange, very summery. This one's a little bit more of a green vibe. Same fabric. Same fabric on the outside, just a different colorway. This one's blue, one's cream. And again, that's a vinyl front bag. This is a vinyl front bag with the poppy fabric. So I've sold a couple of those already. Actually, I've sold a few bags. And then I have this sort of full fabric one with the blue and the orange. Got a black zipper to pull out the black in the fabric. Just has a white lining. So yeah, so those are fun. I do have some other fabric waiting in the wings to get some more stuff made to go up. I'm also trying to make some stuff and set it aside to take with me to my retreat in September that I go to, that I set up a table and sell some of my bags and things there. So always stuff to be made, but those are the ones that I've most recently been working on. So thanks for letting me share them with you. So let's go to fun finds on Instagram. And this is where I just like to share, you know, when I'm scrolling through Instagram and maybe come across something, or maybe I'm even looking, as in this case, for something in particular and all the interesting things I found. So this month I was thinking a little bit about orts and ort containers. If you're new to the cross stitch community and you're not sure what an ort actually is a word. It's an old word, Lower German, I believe, is the origin. And the word itself actually means like a leftover morsel or remainder. And I think originally referred to food, like leftover part of a meal kind of thing. So a morsel or a scrap or, you know, a remainder from a meal. But it has been used a lot in, especially I think in embroidery and quilting circles. And a lot of people use it as an acronym, and I found like there's a lot of different things that people say it stands for. So just a few of them are like old raggedy threads, old random threads. I saw one reference that called them orphaned random threads or odd remnants in threads. Anyway, people I think just have fun with it and call it what they want. But basically, in cross stitch, we're talking about all those little bits of thread that are left over, you know, when you trim your threads after finishing your stitching type of thing. And yeah, some people just throw them away. That's fine, that's what you do. But a lot of people do like to put them in a container. I don't know, maybe it's kind of like a measure of what you've accomplished. Sometimes it's fun because you can see the different projects you've worked on if they have very distinct color palettes, as you see those different color, you know, clumps of those colors in your work container type of thing. But yeah, so I thought, I was looking on Instagram just because I was curious to see what people did with their leftover thread ends. So I think one of the most common one that I'm aware of is, you know, people use a jar of some sort. And so when I was scrolling, I found this post from Stitched Modern, and they had like a mason jar, and they did this really fun thing where they used some banding and cross-stitched a little verse, put a little bit of elastic on it, and then slid it over their mason jar. And then the fun thing about that is then they were able to like tuck their scissors in there and I believe it looks like they've screwed the metal rim of the mason jar, but not put the actual lid part on. So then you can still just drop the threads in, but having that metal lid allows them to put a needle minder on there. So I thought that was all very ingenious. So another take on that was I stumbled across this post, and I believe the poster's name is Hottie's Vintage. And these are little mini champagne bottles that they use. And it's really fun because they've put the year, I think just using stickers, on each bottle. And so then there are the threads from the bottles. So that's kind of fun too. You can watch your progress over, ooh, there was a year that I did a lot of stitching because that jar is really full. And that one doesn't have very many because I didn't do much. But I thought that was kind of cool too. And then the other common thing I think I've certainly seen a number of times is some people will, at the end of the year, take all those little threads out of their jars or whatever container you use and put them in a clear glass or plastic Christmas ornament. So I came across this post by Snarky Crafter, and I believe she has an Etsy shop, which I'll link down below. And you can get these little Christmas ornaments customized if you want. With the years, with some sort of saying on them. But that's kind of a fun way too to sort of document what you've worked on for the year. And then I came across this one where I believe this is a vintage glass heart pendant, maybe. But then they put their words in that. So again, you could hang that up as an ornament, I think, too. I tried to go back to find out more information about it. I sort of just snapped a screenshot of it, but I couldn't find it again. So I'm not sure who the poster was or, again, the full details of it. But again, still an interesting concept if somebody stumbled across something like that in an antique shop, that kind of thing. So, and then, you know, the other category of orc containers is sort of like traveling or on the go orc containers. So there was this really cute, fun one that I saw. Who was it now? Oh, Grandma Girl Designs had, and I believe I went to her website, and I don't think she has these in stock anymore. But in this photo, anyway, it's a needle minder, but it's like a miniature biscuit tin with a lid that actually comes off. So you could actually tuck your orts in there if you wanted to. So that was kind of fun. The other one I saw, just in a reel, so it's hard to get a good screen capture of it, but was one of these, I had made these one time, these little collapsible, portable, traveling orc containers. And all you do is just push them out and untwist them. Then you have like a little garbage bin that you can put your orts in. And then the fun thing is you can even just, when you're done, just leave them in there and collapse it up, and it kind of covers itself up. It just fits inside. I think there's a few people that make these and sell them on Etsy. Oh, and then Abby, TopKnotStitcher, posted this. And what a cute idea is that? It's like a little miniature vinyl pouch. And she's using it kind of like as a scissor fob, but it's a place that you could stick your little thread ends if you were at a stitch day or something like that. So that was kind of fun. So I have always used a jar. And this is my jar. I got this from Michael's a couple years ago. And I like the idea of it. It reminded me, because I knew I wanted to put my threads in here, and I knew I wanted to like cram them in, so jam down. Because then it reminded me a little bit of sand art. You know, when you used to get the little frames that had the two pieces of glass and then the colored sand in between that was sort of layered to look like, I don't know, art. Anyway. But yeah, so they're like this. I'm pretty sure this is when I did the watercolor elephant for my daughter that was done in so many blues and whites. But yeah, it's just fun to look, and you can sometimes tell what project you were working on. But so that was my first one, and I couldn't really get any more in there, so I have a second one on the go. And I was thinking, oh, I really should look for like a backup for when I'm done the second one, because I don't know if Michaels will keep carrying these jars, and I just really like that they're the same and I could line them up on a shelf. I haven't put any dates or anything on them. I had thought about that, but I just decided I would leave them plain. But the other day, we had pancakes for supper, and we finished off a jar of maple syrup, and I just set the jar aside because I was going to rinse it out before I recycled it. And my husband said, "Oh, are you going to use that to put your threads in?" I'm going, "Oh, well, that's a good idea. I hadn't thought about that." And I just thought it was so funny that he knows that I keep those thread ends and I put them in a jar. And I think he gets a kick out of it, and he came up with this idea. So here's my maple syrup jar, so it's a maple leaf. So I was cleaning it out, and my youngest daughter said, "Oh, are you going to keep that to put your threads in?" And I said, "Yeah." And she's going, "You should just put red and white ones in there because it's like the maple leaf on the Canada flag." And I'm going, "Well, that's genius." So that's what I'm going to do now. So this one, I'm going to put my red and white threads in. And the other one that I have on the go like this, I'll just put all the other colors in. But how fun is that? Isn't it cool when you think your non-stitching family members really don't care, and then all of a sudden out of the blue they say something that you're going, "Oh, they do pay attention, and maybe they do care. Maybe they do care a little bit." So those are my orc containers. So the one other thing I found when I was looking about orts on Instagram, I stumbled across Plaid Loves Threads, and she did something really interesting, not with her orts, but with her leftover thread. So, you know, sometimes you finish a project and you might have 6 or 8 inches, 10 inches of thread, and you don't really want to necessarily save those little pieces, but it seems like a waste to throw them away. Well, this is what she does. She stitches. So this is her one from 2021. And so she just started taking, I guess, saving those ends, and every now and then would just sit down and stitch them into these little, almost like a camouflage pattern is what it reminded me of. But, you know, she has the date on there and just filled it in over the course of the year. And then she has a picture here at the end of the year of sort of where she finished at. So I thought that was really ingenious, and what a fun idea. And then she posted this picture for 2022. So she decided she's still going to do the same thing, but she's doing a different pattern. So she's doing something more linear. And again, that's kind of cool because I'm assuming she just puts that piece of Aida in a hoop, and it just stays in the hoop for the whole year. And that becomes sort of like her boundary, right? So you just stitch within that boundary of the hoop type of thing. But what a fun idea is that? So I'm thinking about considering that maybe for next year, that I might do that. So that was my fun finds on Instagram. So we're at the end. I just want to talk a little bit about plans. I am a little bit reluctantly, going to step away from my rotation. I say reluctantly because I am really enjoying doing the rotation, and I am getting really close on finishes. Like my smalls, I could finish probably in a month because I have 2 left. I can often do 2 of them in the week, depending on how much stitching time I have and depending on how much solid stitching there is. My medium, my stallion is getting very close. Now, whether I can finish that in a week, I'm not sure. My medium large, my stocking, I just have the back stitch and stuff to do, which again, you think I could do that in a week, but I don't know. There's some cording and stuff that has to happen, so. And then of course, behind the bit wouldn't be done in a month, but I want to get more work done on him. But next month, July, is my birthday month, and I usually like to do something fun and different for my birthday month, just to celebrate and make it feel special. So 2 years ago in 2021, I decided for my birthday month I was going to stitch all the horses, hashtag stitch all the horses, and I was going to work on all of my horse whips that I currently had going on, and I also purchased a few new horse patterns that I was going to start that month as well, and I put them all on a wheel, spun the wheel, and did that. So I was thinking about doing something similar this July, stitching on all my horse projects. But I do I do really want to make some progress on behind the bit because, again, he's my oldest whip and I would really like to get him finished. So I think I'm going to kind of keep him as a focus and work on him. But then if I feel like I need a change, I've put on my horse whips and a couple of new starts. I'm going to put this one and this one for now because this one's just small. This one's quite big. So I'm going to put these on the wheel as well. And when I need a break from behind the bit, then I'm going to spin my wheel and stitch on one of my many horse projects that I have on the go. And then I might sort of go back and forth. So after I work on that one for a little bit, when I get tired, I'll go back to behind the bit. But I'm going to leave it open a little bit till I decide kind of what I feel like I want to do. If Thunder Ridge has not come up in the wheel before my birthday, then I'm going to start it on my birthday, or even maybe the night before my birthday, so that on my birthday I'm kind of into it already, so I can really enjoy making some progress on it. So those are my plans. I will still do my temperature chart every Sunday, but otherwise I'm going to be stitching on horses. And then in August I'll go back to my regular rotation. So I'm going to have to wait a little bit, I think, for some of those finishes. So, but yeah, so that is it. That's all I have to share today. Thank you so much for taking time on your busy days to stop by and allow me to share my stitching with you. Thank you again for all my new subscribers. I'm looking forward to getting to know you a little bit through the comments down below. Thank you to all my current subscribers and my old friends. I love visiting with you every month, and I love the friendships that I've developed through Flosstube and through Instagram, and I just feel very blessed. So thank you again, everybody, and until next time, take care. Bye. It's